Hey guys, welcome to the Hangout tonight. I'm here with my partner in crime, Howie. What's up, Howie?
Hello there, Brian.
We have people joining the room. Welcome. Those of you who are in the room, maybe we'll do a Q&A later. Right now, we're just going to talk amongst Howie and I, because I guess this is our show tonight for the Hangout. Well, I have something in mind I'd like to talk about, Howie. How about you?
I'm up for anything. I'll even tell you about my day. It's not that big a deal, but go ahead.
Well,
What do
let
you
me
got?
let me let me start by talking about something kind of weird. I did a video the other day about that mixing style that some people use where they're doing kind of very short edits of songs all night long. So it's like intro, verse, chorus, outro into the next song. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I sure do.
Some people call it a quick mix. It's more like not really a quick mix. When I think of quick mix, I think more of what Grandmaster Flash does.
Hmm.
It's more like almost like an evening of just short edits. It's like an edit mix. I don't know what you'd call it. It's not really a quick mix though, but you know the style I'm talking about.
Correct.
There are DJs who do this with pretty good success, and they'll do their entire evening like this, or the majority of their evening like this. And the audience is like it. If you know what you're doing, you can pull it off. And it got me thinking. I mean, this is not something that I do when I'm performing, but do you remember the old medleys that we used to play? And maybe some of us still do. Like
Uh,
the Grease Megamix, for instance.
Grease Megamix, Jive Bunny. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Hmm.
And there's several. There's an Elvis medley that
Yeah,
was pretty popular for a long time.
Jive Bunny did. I still have that one.
Well, Jive Bunny did a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and they're over in the UK, and their song selections are pretty interesting because they're what was popular in the UK.
Hmm.
So the first time I ever heard, do you remember the first time you ever heard something like this, like a medley kind of thing?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting and really well done.
What's the first one you can think of hearing?
The first one I heard was the Elvis one.
The first one I ever heard, medley. This wasn't a mix, this was a medley. The
Right.
first one I can remember hearing was Stars on 45. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
They did Beatles, they did ABBA, which I didn't really care for, but they had that single, Stars on 45 medley. They called it something different in every country, I guess.
Mhm.
And I was reading about it today. And it's interesting because they said that the official song title on the Billboard Hot 100 was every single song that they used in there. They had to do it that way because of the Beatles' rules on the copyright. So it is officially the longest song title on the Billboard Hot 100. But they shortened it to Stars on 45 medley because they didn't want to say Venus, Sugar, Sugar, Drive My Car, blah, blah, blah. They didn't want to do that. It was a huge, long song title. It was the longest
Mhm.
ever. And I gave it a listen today. It's pretty good. They did 11 songs in, well, it depends on which version you're listening to. If you listen to the version that kicks off right where Shocking Blues Venus comes in, it's a 4 minute and 2 second track. That's pretty good. That was the radio cut. There's a longer version of it, slightly longer, a minute long, with an intro in it, um, with kind of the same thing that you heard on the outro, the Stars on 45 keep on burning in your mind.
Mhm.
If you start at Venus, it's 4 minutes and 2 seconds long. And I was evaluating all of the different medleys and mega mixes, and I think that's the best one. And the reason I like it so well is because it's organized very well. The songs run anywhere from 4 bars to 20 bars.
Right.
And you've got Shocking Blue with Venus with the intro, which is only
Mhm.
4 bars. Then you've got the Archies with what's it, Sugar Honey Honey, whatever it's called. Um, that's like a 20 bar right there. That's the longest one. And then most of the Beatles songs are anywhere from 8 to 16 bars long. Most of them are 8. They're short. They pack a lot on that track, and it's good. Now, in contrast, I was listening to the Elvis medley, which many of you may be familiar with, right? You know, I don't know how many songs are in there. I think there are like maybe 5 or 6 songs in there.
Yeah, I believe it's 6 in there.
You know, half that song is Suspicious Minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the least danceable Elvis song.
Yeah.
But did Jive Bunny do that?
Yeah, the one that I have is by Jive Bunny.
But it's got the long Elvis thing at the end, right?
Yes.
Along Suspicious Minds at the end. Yeah, that's very British, you know?
I only play it once a year, and that's when I'm at that big community event, and we have from 16 on up to people in their 90s, and they want Elvis, and they get 4 minutes of Elvis.
Exactly. It's actually a 5-minute track, the one I have.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes. So 2.5 minutes of that track is Suspicious Minds, which is a song I would never play on its own. But that's half of the song. The other one that I was listening to, there were a couple that actually charted. They were singles, and they charted, like in the U.S. And one of those that charted was the Grease Megamix. Do you remember that one?
I have that.
Do you know how many songs are in the Grease Megamix?
No, I don't. That I did not pay too much attention.
Would you believe me if I told you 3?
Really?
That's 3 songs. And that's it. Now, they intro on Summer Nights, then they go into Grease Lightning, and then they go into You're the One That I Want. I mean, they do it very quickly, but then they go back to Grease Lightning, and they end with Summer Nights, which they start with as well. So they switch it around a little bit, but it's only 3 songs. And Grease Lightning is not a song that I would play either, unless somebody was really into show tunes or really into musicals or the movie. It's not something I would normally play. And that track is 6 minutes long. And the weakest part of the track for me is the Grease Lightning bit. It's right in the middle.
In the past 5 years, I've had that as a must play 3 times.
Some people like it, but, you know, I was thinking to myself, I looked at the times on Summer Nights and You're the One That I Want. And Summer Nights is 3.5 minutes long. And You're the One That I Want is just over 2.5 minutes long.
Well, I dread playing it because they want to hear it, but nobody dances to it.
Oh, I get dancers to it, but for my money, you know, what I can do 5 minutes with 1.5 minutes of that or more dedicated to Grease Lightning, or I can just do You're the One That I Want with Summer Nights back to back, usually in the order. I get an extra minute of music, and it's all better music. So for my money, the Grease Megamix is useless. I don't like it because I think you can get more mileage out of just the 2 best songs in the mix.
And is this where we're coming to your idea that you had earlier today?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, Swing the Mood was another one that Jive Bunny did. Very British. But it encompassed several things. It had some Elvis in it. It had Bill Haley and the Comets. Of course, it had some Glenn Miller in it as well. It was a cool way to sneak Glenn Miller into a set. That's not too bad. I mean, really, it's not too bad. But it got me thinking, we're talking about doing these all-night long mixes of, you know, intro, verse, chorus, outro, short mix, or short edits of songs. Why not just do like the Megamixes again? And with all the computer software that we have available to us, there's no reason we can't do our own. And I feel like that there are certain either artists or genres of music that could merit a nice medley or Megamix that we could do on our own.
Well, exactly, because people of a certain age, some of the events I do, oh, they want classic rock, and it's like, man, I don't want to play the whole song, but I can give those people that want the classic rock a medley. That would be perfect for
Well,
me.
what I've been doing for a long time, and I didn't really even think about it too much until I really started processing it. I do these live a lot, and I don't even realize I'm doing them, but I do them. And it would be really interesting to perfect one, record it, and just use it at my events.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the average time on these mixes is anywhere between 3.5 and 6 minutes. So average is what, 4.5 minutes. But what can you think of? Like classic rock, you said that's a really good example. I can think of several off the top of my head that would merit a mix like this, and I think it would do pretty well. I was thinking about my friend Art, who does the quinceañeras.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I go to a quinceañera that he's performing at, he does, it's primarily, well, it's a lot of Latin, but then he does some newer stuff. And then usually towards the end of the night, and I've seen this on the West Coast too, it's pretty cool, he does this freestyle set. Like, and if you guys, I mean, some of you know freestyle, some of you may be like, what are you talking about? Anything from Debbie Deb to Stevie B, Expose, Taylor Dane, those kind of songs. And some of them go a little deeper into the freestyle genre. But he does these, and he never plays like a half an hour of this. It's usually like 15 or 20 minutes of it. And he does quick edits.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it'd be really cool to put together a couple freestyle Megamixes, just to have them. Because I don't think most of my audiences would want to sit through an entire Stevie B song, but they might want to sit through a medley of really good freestyle that they're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
If I could build it and record it, or if anybody could, I think that would come in handy.
Well, I don't think I'm the only one that's done medleys or my own custom mixes, like, even 10, 15 minutes long for a bathroom break or a meal break.
Right.
I mean,
Robin's got something to say. She's pointing her finger at the screen. Unmute her for a second. She's got something to say. I got to hear it.
Go ahead.
I just got to say, we were talking about this just the other day.
Yeah.
Howie and I was not just good for bathroom breaks, but also good for when people just show up to, unexpected groups that show up to an event. And, you can't really cater to them, but you could just drop some, a pre-mix for them.
Robin, I like that idea. So what you're saying is, let's say that you have, let's say that you're just doing an English wedding, whatever, and all of a sudden the Latin side of the family shows up. Now, I understand this because I'm the only white boy in my house. It happens. And if you had some kind of cool little Latin mix that you could put on that was 5-6 minutes long, you give them all a little something. Robin's shaking her head, going, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think this would be very helpful. And yeah, you can mix it live, and I've been doing it. But if I'm sitting at home and I'm really putting the thought into it, I can arrange these songs where they're going to work really well.
That gives me an idea that I should probably implement this summer. I do a large pool party where they have a reunion, and it's not the typical it's usually like a yacht rock listening stuff, because everybody's doing pool activities and eating and socializing. And in the middle of this event, there'll be 20 or 30 Harleys pull up, and they want to dance. The women get off the bikes and they're like, hey, put some Steppenwolf on, and I've got to play Born to Be Wild and, some Southern rock stuff, and I'm doing it on the fly. But yeah, I should make one of those for that.
Well, I think there's multiples that, every time it kind of pops, like I was working between 8 o'clock in this show. I got inspired to attempt a Daft Punk Megamix, because that's one of those bands that, most people want to hear Good Luck, Get Lucky.
Right.
Some people want to hear One More Time, though.
Mm-hmm.
but they know the funk, they know Digital Love, they know Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Maybe that would be a cool medley. And the other thing I thought about, and I was kind of inspired by this from the Elvis medley. Like half of the end of that song is Suspicious Minds. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So 2.5 minutes of that 5-minute mega mix is Suspicious Minds.
Now, are those hits old enough to be considered throwbacks?
What, Daft Punk?
Yeah.
Well, Around the World came out in 1997. That was 22 years ago. So yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
But my point being is that if I were to play One More Time, and then some people felt disenfranchised because I didn't play Get Lucky or Defunk or whatever, if I could do 4, 8, 16 bars of those songs as like this really killer intro to One More Time, and not cut One More Time so short, maybe let that play out at the end. Like you pick the best song, and I'm telling you, Suspicious Minds is not the best Elvis song for dancing. But if you were to use that format that they used, where they just, half the song was, or half of the whole song was an entire song, half the mix was one song, that might come in handy. So you build to the big one, with the snippets of the other ones. So you get a little bit of something, and then boom. That might be a really interesting way to put these custom mixes together. So you can either play Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time, or you can play Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time with the 5-song medley in front of it.
Yeah, I could see using that at the really big community picnic for those particular groups of people. But then I run into a crowd of a certain age that want to hear the whole song of what they came to hear.
Yes, and that's what's happening most of the time.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I do believe that there are those genres, like Robin was saying, where you can't give them a full hour or a half hour of anything.
Right. Sometimes
when I'm at an event, I have to decide what Backstreet Boys song am I going to play, or what NSYNC song am I going to play, and I pick one and I play it. But if I had a medley of those songs and I took the strongest one and put it at the end, that might cover your bases right there. And my mixing philosophy has always been build to the better track. That's what you do. You start here and you build to a peak. And that's how I think these mixes probably should be structured. That's how I want to do it anyway. It's all artistic liberties. Everybody does it their own way, but that's how I would do it. So on a lot of these quick mixes that people are talking about, where they're doing these edit mixes all night long, that's when I think people feel disenfranchised, because they heard their favorite song and then it went away, and then the next song isn't as good. It's just too fragmented. But if you're only talking about anywhere between 4, 8, and maybe 16 bars of most tracks, that's a mega mix at that point. That's a medley. That's different than these short edits, like the ones we're talking about.
Yeah, the short edits seem to go well. Like MJ described it the other night, that they work at college bars where people have a short attention span, 2 minutes. Come on, give us another song. But at the events I do, they're mad if I've tried it, and they get mad. They want the whole song. They're like, hey, what are you doing?
Right. Right. And I'm not talking about doing an evening of these.
Right.
I'm talking about just use it as a song. Like, I'm going to play AC/DC, I'm going to play Love Shack, I'm going to play this mix, and then I'm going to play Romantic's What I Like About You after it, or something like that. I treat it as a song instead of doing an evening of it. You do little sections of it, like we've been doing all along with Swing the Mood and the Grease Megamix and all these other tracks. But it's just an idea, and I got to thinking about those certain genres or eras or styles of music that would be deserving of this. like I said, I think the Elvis mix is probably, I would get more traction out of playing Jailhouse Rock than I would this mix, I think.
Right.
I would get more traction out of playing the 2 best songs off the Grease soundtrack than I would the 3-song Megamix. But there are other songs or other mixes out there like Jive Bunny that make total sense, because I don't want to play In the Mood by Glenn Miller for 5 minutes at any event, unless they're 90 or no, maybe 110. I think that generation's dead now.
Yeah.
You know, my grandparents would have been over 100 years old now. They might have enjoyed it, but well, maybe they would have enjoyed it, but they're dead now. So forget them. If you just want to give them, a couple seconds of that with a beat on it, that's a great mix to play. And I was listening to the Jock Jams one too, That's Bobby D. And he's a Chicago DJ. He was on B96. This guy is a superhero. This guy, the edits that he was doing in the 90s, the mixes he was doing, scrambled my brain. And when you listen to that mix, he's all over the place. It's so cool. But it didn't age well. It's not something I would play now. So there are DJs out there that possess the skill to put these types of mixes together. And there are DJs out there who possess the talent of knowing what songs to put in that mix in what order and how long to go and how short to go. And I think, you'd have to be some really good combination of those 2 things to pull these mixes off. But I think they'd be good. I think it would be worth a look anyway into doing something like that.
I like the idea, because if you end, like you said, to build up to the best song,
right,
and it just happens to have a nice outro beat, then you could actually go into something that's a current top 40, and boom, I've had people dancing and it was 103 degrees out.
Can you imagine like a 90s boy band Megamix, where it was primarily Backstreet Boys and NSYNC? I mean, that might be good. I don't know. Maybe not, but I'm just spitballing out there. Robin's laughing.
Yeah.
I want to hear what Scott's got to say. He's got something on his mind. Turn Scott on for a minute. Where's his microphone? There he is.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, brother.
No, I don't see any problem with that, but it would depend on where you're playing at.
Well, of course.
Really,
yeah, I mean
I just I use a Jive Bunny. I go back and pull that out every once in a while.
Right, and that works for that certain age group.
Yeah.
It's all swing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to play 8 swing songs. Or just pick one. Do you play the 4-minute version or the 6-minute version? Because I see a couple different ones.
Well, you don't use a Grease Megamix. I've used that before, but it was popular a few years ago, but then it died off. It
was very popular. I mean, it charted.
Yeah.
I believe in the 90s. It did chart. Late 90s. As did the Jock Jams mix or the Bobby D one, the main one.
Yeah.
And Stars on 45 charted. I remember, there was a time after the Stars on 45 did what they did, that other artists did their own mega mixes. Do you remember that? Or medleys? Like the Beach Boys did one.
Yeah.
And it charted. But they actually did their own. It was kind of neat.
Well, you remember Hot Tracks and Disco Net put out at the end of the year, they used to do a whole medley of the whole year of mixing. And I use those, and man, I used to, wow, man, you're hot tonight. I said, oh yeah. They're pretending like I'm going crazy. Yeah, why not? It worked though. I mean, if it works, I mean, you just got to throw it on there. But Howie, I agree with him on a certain crowd that if you cut something off too early, boy, they'll jump down.
I'm with you 100%. And that's why I'm really having a hard time getting my head around doing short edits all night. But some do very well with it. And I'm not trying to tell them they're doing the wrong thing, because if they're doing it successfully, they're obviously not doing the wrong thing. That's just not what I do. And I don't think my audience would respond well to it. But I do feel like instead of trying to find the best country line dance song,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would be cool to do a medley of them.
Yeah, I did that
Maybe
a few
that
years.
would be neat.
I had access to Cool Edit Pro, and I used Cool Edit Pro to bring it. We brought it together. It took a lot to pull something down, and really we only pulled it down for less than 5 minutes. Because if you go further than that, then you're dealing, like you say, with a Megamix. Then you're going way over. And we started with something at a slower beats per minute and worked our way on up until it ended cold. And we just took it out cold and went into something else.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way forward. So, again, just want to stress this. I'm not talking about a quick edit mix. I'm talking about 4, 8, 16, maybe 20 bars max on these. Just giving everybody a little taste of everything. Instead of just picking Suavemente from Elvis Crespo, you do a little medley of a bunch of those songs. And then maybe Salsas and Merengue is a bad example because they like the whole song for that. But I think freestyle's a great example. I think country's a great example. Boy bands might be. You might just play one boy band song that night where you could do a medley of them. I wouldn't go medley crazy, though. There are certain genres I wouldn't do this with.
No, that's where I was saying at a wedding, it kind of be, you wouldn't want to, but if you're doing something that, even if I've done a daddy-daughter dance that way, where I've done a medley. Yeah. And I got away with that. Because the kids were hopping along to it. I did 2 medleys back to back on something one time to see how it would work. And it did because it was popular.
Yeah.
At the time.
Well, they all knew it.
Yeah. Oh,
so, it has the same, I guess, triggers as a pop song would have because they recognize it. And that's the only reason I think anybody's dancing to the Grease Megamix. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody would get up and go nuts to Grease Lightning, but it's part of the mix and they know it, so it's familiar and they dance to it.
I do it like you do it. I take it out and I take my own stuff out of Grease now instead of using that Megamix because it all depends on the crowd. And
I think you get more traction that way. I really do. But that's just me. That's just my taste.
Well, you're not the only one that does that. But I did the Megamix a long time ago, but the popularity won out on it. I got no response out of it. But when I started playing Grease straight out and letting it go longer, people were enjoying it. But you, like you said, you cut something off too quick and you got yourself and it all depends on what you're playing. And that's where my 2 cents is. But, like I said, Howie probably runs into that too because it all depends on what you play at too. And how.
Well, Scott, you've been in radio for a long time. You've been programming for a long time. Let me ask you this. Now, I'm not talking about buying these things from a service. I mean, because I know that Master Mix does that over in England, and I've never really gotten anything from them that I really felt like that I could use. They do very well in England, but I don't do well with them. Yeah. Here in the States, I'd have them, but I don't use them.
Well,
what do you feel? What genre or era do you feel like if you could do your own custom medley, 5-6 minutes long tops, what do you think would merit that? If you thought about, well, I'm thinking, for me, I'm thinking, all right, well, 80s music. Maybe I only get a chance to play one 80s song or 2 80s songs. Well, how about I do a medley of these 80s songs? And then what do you think would merit that? What genre would merit a really good quality Megamix that would work well? Or medley? Well, he hung up on us.
There right. I don't know why I lost. Well, I like
country or
hot AC.
Well, do you really think hot AC would merit that? Because I would think those would be the ones that you'd want to go ahead and play out completely.
We do on those. Now your hot stations, like I call it like your power mix stations. Mm-hmm. We have down in South Florida, and even what Robin has in Orlando, they do that a lot. But they're danceable. It's danceable music. That's club music or house music. Those merit that you can do that too.
I was listening to my XM receiver is broken in my truck, so I've been kind of stuck with listening to the terrestrial radio, which I never do. And I've been listening to the R&B station, and 5 o'clock traffic jam. They do a thing you know. It was pretty good. It was all over the place, you know. It was R&B stuff. It was new. It's old.
We mixed live. We used to mix live on the radio back in the day.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Oh yeah. Well, that we used to do that in the clubs and do it over the radio. It's the way they used to do it to get people into the clubs. And they did that in Orlando. They did that in Miami. That was a big thing to get people in, was to actually do a live mix and put it over the air.
Well, this was definitely a recorded mix, and the reason I know it was a recorded mix is because it was building, and I was listening to it build.
It was too perfect.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. I mean, it was a good mix, but it wasn't like, you know, amazing, but it was good. It was enjoyable. I was into it, and it was building. And they ended up at Give It To Me Baby by Rick James. And on top of that, I thought it was really clever. I heard it. They started playing Cashmere's Percolator on top of Give It To Me. And I thought, ooh, this is groovy as shit. I'm getting into it.
Yeah.
And they faded it out. And they went to the station ID. I'm like, all right, they don't want to play any house on the station. So they're cutting this mix short. This is definitely something that they just got off satellite. This is nothing.
Cardi B and Maroon 5, the song that's a real big hit. We actually pull the rap section out using Cool Edit Pro because we stress that our station is not a rap or hip hop station. So we pull that little segment out that Cardi B does in that song. And we can blend it. It works fine just pulling her section.
You don't get those rapless edits on like any of your music services?
We do on some of them. But what happened is the program music guy says, "Oh, you mean they got one without it?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I use Cool Edit Pro." I says, "Dude, here, go
just
up
look
here.
What you get. Look, yeah.
Yeah, here it is. There's where it's at. Pull it down and drop it into the music vault."
The one I used to really enjoy that had the rapless edit was California Girls by, who was that? Was that Katy Perry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was a rapless edit of that I got, I think, through Top Hits USA. And it was just refreshing to have that, not only to eliminate that. I think it was Snoop Dogg who did the rap to get rid of that, but to take that little section that I had to chop and loop to mix into another track. Mm-hmm. That was fun. I used to really enjoy finding those rapless edits. Just without the guy talking, I don't need that.
And radio, though, you gotta be careful with taking stuff out too. But what were you saying, Howie? Go ahead.
I took a chance at the artist's Christmas party this the past Christmas, and I did my own mashup. And what I took was I used pop culture to mix the generations that were there, because there were, gosh, I don't know what you call them, like the goth style people that were there with the purple hair, and all the way up to a guy that threw the party. He was 67, and I was able to, because of the movie, I mashed up with Queen and some of the newer stuff that was out there, and I had the young lady with the purple hair went crazy, you know, hearing Queen, because now they're discovering 80s music.
Right.
She came up to me to the booth and said, "Where did you get that?" And I said, I want to buy this. And I'm like, I just did this just now. I took a chance, and
I'm broadcasting. Let me call you right back.
So it was,
Jay Brannon says hi. I'll call you back.
Hey, Jay.
Hey,
everybody says hi. Thanks.
So, that was, it wasn't really a medley. It was more of a mashup. And I used hooks, from the songs. And so, but it was, I guess it was pretty quick edit, because I was grabbing little parts from here and there. And I kept going back, because I put that Queen loop on edit, and they went for it.
It's very DJ AM of you. He would do
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I just I was like kicking myself in the ass after getting the compliment that I didn't hit record on Serato. You know,
you got to be in that moment, man. It's hard. You know, like when I'm doing videos, I don't have an audience. I'm talking to a camera. And it's hard. It's easier for me to speak to individuals than it is to roll a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I make more mistakes when I'm rolling the camera. When I have an audience in front of me, for some reason, my flow's better. And the same thing with mixing. If I have an audience in front of me, I can play off of their energy and figure out what to do next. It's easier than me just sitting here in the studio laying down a mix. So exactly. I get it. I mean, you can do these mixes live and they're really good, and then you get home and like, what the hell did I do?
Well, but you know, pop culture had a lot to do with it too. I mean, the you know, the young girl with the purple hair, she went to see the movie, so she, you know, it wasn't like I was playing old music. To her, it was I just saw
new.
Oh, this is great. You know,
right? I think I was 18 years old or 19 maybe when the Doors movie with Val Kilmer came out, and there was a month there where all those old Doors songs were brand new to us. I mean, I knew them, I'd heard them, but it was just in the lexicon because of the movie. And oh wow, you know,
he just feel old now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott.
That Bohemian, but I finally seen the movie, by the way, which I thought they did a good job on it.
Yeah, I liked it.
I did. I thought they did. I just, it's funny because my daughter's like, wow, how long's that song been out? I says, you did.
How long have you been alive?
Yeah, I says, I was 12 years old when A Night at the Opera came out. Prophet Song is my favorite song on that album, though. If you've ever
I've got that back here somewhere.
If you've ever heard the Prophet Song, it's different.
Yeah, I have the album.
It's
that and News of the World and a couple other ones back here.
Yeah, I mean, it just Queen was Queen. You either like, well, everybody got popular when they started playing We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions.
Those were the anthem songs.
Yes, that's when it started. Yeah, that's when it started, because nobody ever really heard too much about them. They were like, oh yeah, there's a rock band named Queen. But then the more the News of the World came out, bam, everybody in the gym, that's what they would do, pep rallies.
I remember hearing You're My Best Friend on the radio a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, when it came out, and I was not old enough to remember it, but I did. Yeah. I remember my siblings played me Bohemian Rhapsody, and I thought it was a joke. Like, was this like a Cheech and Chong record or something? This doesn't make any sense. But yeah, then I would hear it on Album Rock later, and it's like, okay, I guess.
And then you go listen to the whole album, and it just that album was really before its time, to be right honest with you. It was,
albums were cool pieces of work like that. I know, you know.
Yeah,
when was the last time you bought an album, like a new album?
Oh,
you know,
that You're My Best Friend. That is on my crate for this summer, because I do a lot of those. You know, I stuck that song in your head from Little Feat.
Yeah.
But I've been looking for those help.
Actually, no, it was Little River Band.
Yeah. You know, Hang On, Help Is on the Way. So I've been collecting a lot of
back. Yeah.
for this event, and was inspired by you to. I've set a goal for this large event that I am not playing anything that's, you know, I'm sure I'll get requests, but I'm going to make a playlist of the B-sides and the very rarely heard stuff you don't hear on, you know, Sirius XM or at Home Depot, like you said. And I'm going to give it a try, because I've been doing this event for 10 years, and I want them to do that again. Like when I first introduced them to that song, and they didn't even know who it was. It was like "Hang On, Help's on the Way." They're like, "Oh my God, this is us!" Oh,
Yeah.
and who did that song? You know, I dig that.
Well, a lot of people know it, but they just haven't heard it in forever.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
do.
I'm not trying to play stump the audience. I'm trying to play, oh my God, I haven't heard this in 30 years.
Exactly. And that's what I'm aiming for. You know, it's something I haven't done. So I'm gonna
the song that I've rediscovered lately, and it's something that I don't know, maybe I'd play it at a gig during Chill or something. It would probably be good. And I haven't heard it in forever. And I may have mentioned this before, but "Hypnotized" by Fleetwood Mac. This is pre-Buckingham Nicks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and it was a hit.
That goes way back.
Yeah, but when was the last time you heard that song? You heard anybody play it? It's just one of those, oh my God, I haven't heard this in forever songs. It's Bob Welch singing on it.
Yeah.
It's really good, and it's not inappropriate. It's about checking out a chick walking past a window and like, wow, cool. It's not about breaking up or anything, so you can pull it off at a wedding or whatever if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm playing some old Joe Welsh, what's his name, Joe Welsh stuff, like Rocky Mountain Way.
Joe Walsh, yeah.
Yeah, but Joe Walsh, I mean, they're skating to it in the swing. They're swing skating to it. I do that adult skate once a month, and it's great to be able to pull out that old stuff. They love
got some fun ones.
Yeah, they love Tom Sawyer, Rush. They do it. They skate to that, man. Because that's what we did in the rink way back in the day. That's what they would. These kids don't skate no more.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I remember the first record that I dropped as a DJ at a skating rink when I was 13 years old. I remember putting the needle on it and listening to the song. And of all things, it was Joe Walsh, the Confessor. That's the kind of kid I was there for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the first song I ever spun as a professional DJ, was Joe Walsh, the Confessor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that weird? And then I think I followed it up with like Houdini or something. But yeah.
Now, you spoke about Rush. There was another Canadian band that had been compared to Rush at the time. And they didn't quite get the success Rush got, but you've heard of a band called Triumph?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on to your dream.
I put them on my list there, and I know these people haven't heard that song in a while. They'll recognize it and go, oh, yeah.
Speaking of Canada and weird songs, I got one for your feather in your hat. I got one you can put in there. How about My Girl by Chilliwack?
Oh, you just read my mind.
Yeah.
Oh.
When was the last time you heard that? I'd like to welcome all of you to Old DJs Talking About Old Stuff here on the Shocking News.
Yeah.
I like how he's like, yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Scott's like, yeah, Chilliwack.
Yeah, that was their old. That was their old. In fact, that was their only rig hit. They had
in the States, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now look at how excited we're getting. Can you imagine the audience like that? Even if they're not dancing, they're turning and looking at me. Like,
right? What is he doing?
Yeah.
He's playing Chilliwack. Oh my God! I forgot about this. They might even know the name of the song, but they know the song.
I got
1980, 81.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you who don't know it, if you're my age, you probably know it. Look it up on YouTube. It's just one of those weird old songs.
Mm-hmm.
But we should probably stop this broadcast so he can have a recorded session of this, and then we can continue our conversation about obscure Canadian artists to play.
We kind of drifted off the Megamixes.
No, it's okay. We're talking music, and that's all. That's good enough.
Yeah, we're a little over the time, so.
Oh well.
Go ahead and end our recording now.
That's fun.
They'll still watch.
Yes.
We always do. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you're here live, stick around. If not, we'll see you next week.